Hello, America. This is Sergio Becerra II, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm doing a second video and an update in regards to the sentencing of rapper and music mogul Sean P. Diddy Combs. So as of Friday, October 3rd, Sean P. Diddy Combs was sentenced to 4 years and 2 months in federal prison after only being found guilty on 2 counts for transportation to engage in prostitution. In other words, two, vi- two violations of a federal statute known as the Mann Act. So, as we all know, that back in May, that Diddy was put on trial for 5 different counts: 2 counts of sex trafficking by force, 2 counts of the transportation to engage in prostitution, 1 count in conspiracy of criminal racketeering. So, I'm just going to go ahead and get straight to the point of all this because when this trial happened, Diddy was already looking at life in prison. And yet, the 2 Mann Act charges, he was already looking at 20 years. But instead, according to the probation department, they were only uh, um, referring to having Diddy sentenced to only somewhere between 4 and 6 years. So the judge officially, I'm sorry, the judge actually gave him those 4 years, in which most of the time uh, judges would be siding with the probation department. Now, even though I'm happy that Diddy is going to federal prison, but still disappointed that he didn't get the 20 years. Even though I kind of, kind of predicted that he would get probation, if anything, only because he's Diddy. But he'll be away for 4 years. Well, actually, since he's already done 13 months behind behind bars in the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, New York, in which the judge had labeled Diddy as a flight risk and had been denied bail 5 times. So, like I said, let's cut to the chase. Let's get straight to the point. So, before Diddy was even sentenced, a week before that, on Friday, September 25th of 2025, Sean P. Diddy Combs had a emergency meeting with the judge, Judge Aaron Subramanian. I always have that. I always have trouble with pronouncing that last name. That last name. Sorry. So he's asking the judge to either give him a new trial or acquit him of just those 2 counts alone. Now, but Diddy's still alleging that the prosecution, in other words, the federal government, still couldn't prove that Diddy committed any of these crimes, especially the 2 counts he was found guilty on. And even he's believing that um, the government violated his free speech rights, his constitutional right under the First Amendment, the right to free speech, because he is alleging that all these freak-offs that he did was nothing more but amateur pornography, uh, in which he says he was just producing, even though that's a lie, because we already knew from the very beginning, even before this trial even started, when he got indicted, we knew that Diddy had been pleasuring himself behind the camera when all this was going down between male escorts and his then ex-girlfriend Casey Ventura, and then later on with his second ex, who goes by the undercover name Jane. We'll never know Jane's real name. So just about 3 days before Diddy's sentencing, as of last Tuesday, I forget which date exactly, the judge actually denied his request to either give him a new trial or quit him of just those 2 counts, because simply to say, in the judge's statement to both Diddy and his defense team, everything that Diddy had said made zero sense. When, number one, it was Diddy's lawyers that did admit that Diddy was violent. He had a hot temper, which is the reason why he was put as a flight risk. And even told them, you guys actually own this. You own the fact that he was violent. Second, as I have said already, Diddy was already known to pleasure himself behind the camera when all these freak offs were going down. So that eventually failed. So sentencing was on for that Friday. So Diddy knew he was toast. And before, I think the day before, actually, I don't remember if it was like 1 or 2 days before the sentencing even happened, at least up to 4 people had submitted letters directly to Judge Aaron, those that were harmed by Diddy. One of them, of course, being Casey Ventura, because she is still scared for her life. She is scared for her husband and children because she just gave birth to her third son back in June. And she's had to relocate her family out of New York because of Diddy and hopes the judge puts him away. And she still says she has to live through the horrific trauma for what she's had to go through, especially with all these freak offs, like night after night for like long hours, even though she had also admitted to taking drugs, illegal narcotics, and even ODing while these freak offs were going on. Even though she agreed to these freak offs, but only did it just to satisfy Diddy and his pleasures and not make him mad. Second letter came directly from Casey's own mother because she too had lived through horrific trauma because Diddy was blackmailing her for like 20 grand or something over the freak off tapes. And then, of course, as we all know from the trial, it was Casey's mother that showed pictures of Casey with a black eye and bruises all over her body, which was shown throughout the trial. Even I myself have seen the photos of Casey's bruisings. Second, Casey's friend and hairstylist, who has been abused also by Diddy, has also submitted a letter directly to the judge. Simply tell him, even at the end, this is not a good man. Even he's had to live through horrific trauma and has asked the judge, please do not let him out, put him away. Last but not least, you had one witness that was supposed to testify in the trial, but the feds pulled away at the last minute, who goes by the name of Chef Jordan, who is Diddy's personal chef. This is a female chef, by the way, even though the name Jordan is mainly a male name, but this was a female chef. Now, even though she was not able to testify in the trial, her letter, which was a 7-page letter, which is actually her testimony and her letter to the judge about everything that she had witnessed, being abusive to Casey and then getting abused by Diddy herself, and even being uh, abused verbally anytime Diddy would get mad when she was either talking to Casey or anybody in the house that was working for Diddy, and under Diddy's instructions, it can only be about what she's cooking in the kitchen. And at one point, if I remember correctly, that either she quit or got fired by Diddy and was literally thrown out the house. When I mean thrown out, like I repeat, literally thrown out, shown to the door and like pushed to the pushed out to the concrete. And the front door had like 2 steps that led in and out of the house, like 2 steps, like little stairs, which Diddy like literally threw out. And at one point, like Diddy's HR team like brought her back, knowing that Diddy would end up in trouble. And then, of course, she also said that that Diddy would have her work like more than 20 hours a day, nonstop, not even given time to like have any breaks or even days off or even vacation time. No, it was just nothing but labor, hard labor in the kitchen. Like that was it. At one point, I forget how many years she was working for Diddy, probably like 10 or a little more than that. When she had to relocate to Georgia, she was actually in contact by the feds the same, I think, a year or two before Diddy was indicted, that she had been in contact, that the feds had made contact with her, but didn't answer the phone. Even she had had asked her own attorney disregard the phone calls, and then somehow Diddy found out that the feds were in contact with Chef Jordan. Even uh, Diddy's HR team came out and said, "We'll pay for whatever like expenses to whatever these federal agents are saying to her." So at one point, her car was broken into, and like stuff was, well, broken into, but then noticed like stuff was all over, her stuff was all over the car, as if they were looking for something. So no doubt Diddy had sent some people to find her, break into her car, find anything that would have gotten Diddy into any trouble. So this was witness tampering. So far, nothing was stolen from her car, but as far as she knew, the whole car was ransacked after being broken into. And then finally, well, not finally, but however, another alleged victim, apparently another ex of Diddy's, goes by the name of Gina, actually submitted a letter to the judge in Diddy's defense, actually asking the judge to let him out. Uh, but you know what? A lot of people were saying, even I had to agree, that she was still probably on Diddy's payroll just to get him out. Then, of course, there was a letter submitted to the judge by a Miami cop, even asking for the judge, we are willing to supervise him and make sure he's rehabilitated, all that, make sure he's going through some reforms, like changing, like Diddy is willing to like change himself, and has even said he's even been in contact and been a friend of Diddy's mother, in the hopes of helping Diddy, getting Diddy out. And some were even suspicious by this letter, the way how it was worded. I forget what exactly, but it sounded like Diddy and Diddy's mom were like bribing this cop somehow. I uh, Again, I forget how this was worded in that cop's letter. And speaking of Miami and Miami PD, apparently Diddy had already arranged some like a focus group classes in Miami, which would have been held today. Today is Monday, October 6th, which Diddy thought he would get out of this sentencing. He thought he would walk free, thinking he would get probation or whatever. Even though the judge said, I'm not dropping these charges against you." So as of right now, no wait, these classes are going to be held, and Diddy is already on his way to prison, which I have no doubt. So on the day of the sentencing, you had all of Diddy's family, his mother, and all. Well, Diddy has 7 kids, but only 6 showed up because Diddy's youngest daughter is only 2. And to tell you the truth right now, I do feel bad for Diddy's kids and what they now have to go through. But Diddy in the end screwed up. Now, when this trial happened, I thought Diddy only had like only 2 kids. I know he has 2 sons. That's as far as I knew from the very beginning when the trial started. And then the week before his sentencing, he had uh, twin daughters, and then of course I ended up finding out he had another daughter, and of course he has his youngest daughter, who's only 2, like I said. They all took turns on the stand. They were all crying, like begging the judge to let their father go. Even though some people in the courtroom saying it was like very hard to hear them because they were like sobbing uh, very hard, knowing what could knowing what their father was in for. And then of course one of the daughters did say, "We have a younger sister, only 2. She's not going to be around." That their father's not going to be around to help be with her, help raise her, all that. That's understanding, but and like I said, Diddy like messed up, so there's like nothing that can be done about it. Another thing I forgot to mention: the day before the sentencing, and at the last minute, Diddy submitted a letter of his own to the judge, asking him, "Please, Your Honor, I have changed, I have reformed, I take full responsibility. I understand the consequences that I'm about to receive. I ask all your heart, please return me to my family." Personally, I don't believe a word Diddy says. He has had a lifetime to change up until this point, especially within his career as a rapper. He should have known better already from a long time ago, especially when he has children. And from a lot of things I've been hearing, especially from legal experts, they know that Diddy cannot be believed. And it's like already too late to like say I've already changed, especially being incarcerated in a detention center. Even though he and his legal team have been saying he has changed, he has been working with other inmates in the jail, helping that have helped him, and he's helped others like change their lives and even him. But no, I don't believe a word Diddy says. I don't believe he's changed at all. Even like I said, even these law experts saying he has not even once taken responsibility since the verdict came down on him, even up until now, when he had like this meeting with the judge, because even they were saying uh, he never once even took responsibility and apologized for what he's done since the verdict came down on him. But as has been stated by others, even myself, because remember that meeting he had the week before, he says, "Your Honor, everything I did was just amateur adult content." Instead of saying I'm sorry before even getting sentenced. So I don't believe anything Diddy says. I don't even know if he's gonna change or not. So even though he spent 13 months, he'll be out within 3 years actually, even though he was given a 4-year sentence, which to me I think ridiculous. Even though the prosecution was looking to give him between 11 years or more, but Diddy's lawyers were saying no more than 14 months, even though he's already served a year behind bars, hoping that he'd be out by early November before his birthday or towards the end of the year, which to me is ridiculous. What his lawyers are saying. There's no way he really messed up. But the judge had to side with the probation department and just gave him those 50 months. So after all that, still, and you know what? I just don't understand people, especially you people out there that are hardcore Diddy fans. You're accusing the judge of being both biased and racist towards Diddy because uh, only because he is a black man that has made it to the top, becoming one of the most popular rappers in the music industry, which I believe is ridiculous because I even did some research and there's like no evidence somehow that the judge is biased. Nothing. I just don't believe it. And the only reason you believe that these charges against Diddy are ridiculous because it's Diddy. You think he should be allowed to do whatever he wants. I have said that in the last video I did, even on social media platforms. The only reason why they think the charges are ridiculous is because it's Diddy. Believing he's a top rapper, he's an A-list celebrity, he's an elitist, he should just do whatever the hell he wants with zero consequences. This is just what I don't get with you Diddy fans out there. And look, I don't even care about pop culture. I don't even care about rappers. I don't even care about rap music. Diddy had to pay the price for it, and look what that got him. And I said this also in the last video when I talked about the trial. It's it's not just Diddy, but other celebrities that don't have a filter in their head that's telling them that the things they're doing are wrong, which is what landed Diddy in court in the first place. And I even said there's nothing illegal about throwing a party, especially a freak off or sex parties, which I find to be immorally wrong. I repeat, immorally wrong. But Diddy took things a step further, which landed him in court in the first place. And as of now, that I'm learning that Diddy will be sentenced to like one of the worst federal prisons in the nation. When I read the article about what prison he may be sent to, it didn't specifically say, but even Diddy's lawyers are still arguing that there's no evidence that are still arguing that there's no evidence against Diddy, even though he was sentenced. They're still alleging that there was no evidence that Diddy did anything, and yet he's going to prison for 3 years, even though he was given 4. But he could get out earlier with like 2 years on good behavior. And then I'm also learning right now, like Diddy's chief of staff, Christina Coram, and then a couple of others could also face criminal charges because Christina Coram was like the one in charge arranging all these freak offs. What hotel that Diddy and Casey and Jane and others that were going to have these freak offs at. Not just that, but you also have the founder of the website Cowboys for Angels, which is the male escort website. And it turns out the person in charge goes by the name of Garen James. Now, if you're familiar with a TV show, a reality TV show called Gigolos, which aired on the cable network, Showtime, which aired uh, more than a decade ago. So it looks like the founder of that website could be in trouble too. And on top of that, even Diddy's own personal security guard could also be in trouble as well. And it turns out this security guard that was working for Diddy used to be Michael Jackson's personal security guard, and even testified against the doctor that was giving him that drug to help him sleep when Michael was suffering from insomnia, and was there when Michael had died. I don't remember the guard's name, but it looks like these other 3 people could be in big legal trouble right now. And from what I've been hearing, it looks like there was like enough proof to show that Diddy was guilty of conspiracy to commit criminal racketeering. So it looks like Diddy is definitely guilty of racketeering, even though that charge was, um, well, even though he was found not guilty of the racketeering charge. But in the end, Diddy is going to federal prison, and I hope more things come to other people's way that were involved in this organized crime ring caused by Diddy. And I hope to God that Christina Corum does get charged, and others that were involved helping Diddy. All right. So you all tell me what you think uh, of this video on Diddy sentencing. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell for future updates, and comment below and tell me what you think. All right. This wraps it up. Hope to see you next time. Take care now. Bye.